has come. And the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme grows around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go?
And I will build my love a bower by yon pure crystal fountain, and around it I will pile all the flowers of the mountain.
Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And my love, if I were gone, make your way back to the bower, and I will meet you there in the essence of the flowers. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the blooming heather. Will you go, lassie, go?
Good morning, and welcome on this quiet, wintry, avoiding illness morning, but so glad to see you all, and welcome to those online. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We're a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Believers in God or mystery or nothing at all. In this house, queer, trans, BIPOC folks, immigrants, refugees, all of who we are and who we are becoming are held as sacred. Welcome to visitors, newcomers, again, those who are joining from a distance online as well. After service, you can join us down in the Commons for refreshments and fellowship where you can find ways to get connected in the life of the church. There's a preschool playroom open for young ones throughout the morning just past the lobby, activities for kids after the time for all ages. Special welcome to Timothy Franzik, our guest musician, and his daughter Svea. So glad to have you here and welcome back. Your gifts of music are already a blessing to us this morning. So glad you're here. And each week our offering goes out our doors to support justice work in the community. This month, among many organizations, our main organization for January is Journey, an advocacy organization supporting at-risk youth and their families in our community. You can give us a Plates Pass or anytime online. And a few special announcements for some events coming up. First, next week is our annual Martin Luther King weekend service, lifting up practices of justice locally and beyond. You can get your yellow Side with Love gear down in the lobby or get scarves down at the social justice table this week or next. And then join us for the MLK Day festivities downtown in our community held by the NAACP, including a rally that begins at 10:30 down at the Civic Center. You can wear your yellow gear and gather with other Unitarian Universalists there if you'd like to join. Hope to see you there. And then if you're signed up for our e-news and if you saw a ridiculous video from me this week, you know that January 24th and 25th will be an epic weekend here at church, a Friday evening concert with Peter Mayer and J.D. Stillwater called Cosmology in Concert, celebrating the arts and music and science and the cosmos. And then, so you can get your tickets, a sliding scale fee for those tickets, but about $30 each to help support the church, but down to $5 or whatever you're able to give. We just hope folks that can attend that concert Friday night. And then the next night is our annual auction with items and events supporting the church, including an invitation to bake pie, a chili contest, live music, so a wonderful evening of community and support. So you can get your tickets for that concert soon and join us on January 24th and 25th. We've got the whole weekend planned for you, and then come Sunday morning too. Then every Wednesday night, join us for supper and programs including choir and childcare, or simply conversation around the table. This week includes a fireside chat with Rochester Solidarity for Palestine to learn about ways to support peace and justice work in Gaza. Supper's at 5:30, followed by choir, a fireside chat, and activities for kids. All are welcome. So as we enter this time of worship, I invite you to just take a breath and settle into this morning together. And we begin with these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, some music will call us back together, but before that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you.
All right. It's so good to be with you this morning. So I'm going to ask a little something of you this morning. It's even better than coffee for a wake up to sing together. We do this every week up in Minneapolis, and we call it circle singing. We call it perfection-free singing. It's also known as paperless singing. So this first song is not on your bulletin. It will be the next one. So put it down. Very simple little lines. And as you they welcome about this group of people honoring different faith traditions, this is a great beginning. And we're not so far away from the Christmas time that slips in. They're probably still hanging out at the stable in this story at this point. I'm not sure. So we'll put that in there too at the end. So this splits into 4, and they're just little phrases. We're going to split right down the middle here. If you can energetically or physically kind of lean that way, and you lean that way, and this will be the 4th group over here. But let's all sing these 4 parts. Svea's going to help me, and you're going to follow the bouncing hands a little bit here too. So the first one, which will be over here eventually, but let's all sing it. It's the Buddhist chant, Om Mani Padme Hum. This is the central chant of compassion. And it's a Sanskrit ancient word. So let's all try it. It's like a drum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. More. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om. It's the pulse. It's the heart. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Oh, that's nice. And we could do that all day and it would satisfy us. It's so beautiful. This one comes from Arabic. It's La ilaha illallahu. This one, this says there is no God but God. Or the way the Sufis say it now would also mean there's no place you can go out where you can get outside of the divine. There's no place to go away and hide from the divine. So you can't escape love. You can say it that way too. So this group will say, and let's all say it together, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallah. Very nice. Those two, you can already hear, they're going to puzzle nicely. Here we go. This group right here is Shalom, peace in Hebrew, and Shanti, peace in Sanskrit. So it goes Shalom, Shanti. Let's all say that. Shalom, Shanti. 2 more of those. Shalom, Shanti. Nice and big. Shalom, Shanti. Great. And this group over here has Gloria in excelsis Dei. Again, Gloria in excelsis Deo. So that's like that, right? And say eggshells, right? In excelsis Deo. So very nice. So let's puzzle this together. And if you want to defect because you love another part, just go for it. Just go for it. We're going to start here, though. Here we go. Get the drums going, these first 2 parts. And Svea, you're going to get them going over there. Here we go. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani. Nice and strong. Keep it going. Mani Padme Hum. La ilaha illallahu. La ilaha illallahu. La ilaha illallahu. La ilaha illallah. Shalom, Shanti. Shalom, Shanti. Gloria in excelsis excelsis Deo, glory hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, La ilaha illallahu, La ilaha illallah. Listen to each other. Face each other. Beautiful. Let's all say Om Mani Padme, all of us. Here we go. And Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani. Find your harmony. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme. One more Om. Om.
We gather this morning as one community, a community united by common ideals: love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, and equity. Yet look around. Take a moment and look at the faces of those around you. Each face represents an individual, one with their own stories, their own needs, their own strengths, and their own faults. As we light our chalice today, honoring our common connection and the unique stories that live within each of us. With love and gratitude, the ushers will now accept the offering.
We'll do the offering later today.
I know, it's like the one day. Good job. Jerry approved. I'd like to invite the children forward. Reverend Luke has a story for us today.
So you can come join me up here. It's safe up here and comfy and nice. I have a story I want to tell you this morning, and I have something to show you as well. It's a little bit of show and tell. But you can come find a spot up here and crisscross applesauce. Good morning. Good to see you all. I'm glad you made it safely sliding here this morning. So many, many years ago, this church wasn't here, and we had another church downtown. And before that, we had another church downtown. And all those times, people gathered just like we do now. We sing songs, gather together, we care for each other, we share food, and all those things. So a few years ago, not that many years ago, maybe like 3, 4, 5 years ago, most of your life, wasn't that long ago, someone who comes to this church found something in their wall. So they were changing part of their home, and so they opened a wall. Have you ever seen that in construction where they open a wall? Or maybe when they're building something, you can see inside through the wood and all that stuff. And so they opened their wall because they were going to change something, and in it they found all this different stuff. And so they're pulling out. Sometimes they use lots of different things to help keep the houses warm. And they found this, which is an old, you know what this is? A newspaper. And so they found this, and it's from the year 1916. It's a long time ago. And it says, Grace Church, dedicated in an appropriate manner. Such a 1916 headline. And it says, Grace Church has this picture in the middle. See that little picture? That was our church downtown. So these members of our church found this old paper in their walls of their house about our church. And it also says you can get prunes by the pound, and you can get tea on sale, and it lists all the things about the people in the church and the building committee. And it lists the things about all the stops on the organ, how the organ was made in the downtown church. What I love about this is that sometimes when we try to just open up a little space or notice something just around the edges of what we normally notice, we find there's always more to the story than just what we know right now. That happens in this church too. You know, these little walls on the side, and you see the light coming through the bottom. You can see those little things. Those little mini half walls also contain treasures from over the years. And you can see in there, just this morning, we found a Christmas Eve order of service from last year in here. And so things hide in there. So just around us, around all the edges, sometimes when you least expect it or you're not trying to find it, you find more of the story and learn more about where you've come from or the people that came before you, and you know that you are held in stories. And so that's our theme this month, is stories and all the stories that hold us. So you can think about this old newspaper. Sometimes it's right there when you don't know it. That's my story for today.
And we're going to go start writing our own story for the month. Yeah, pretty exciting. Rose is going to play the children's benediction. Oh, there's no hymnals today. You all know it well enough to lead.
Or just hum along.
Or hum along. All right, kids, let's head over.
If there were weather badges, I would wear winter proudly on a scout-like sash. When friends question why we live in Minnesota, this land of 10,000 frozen lakes, I extol the efficiency of our Toro electric snowblower. When family members encourage us to move where winter temperatures are more moderate, I describe the warmth of my 10-inch shearling-lined LL Bean boots and the safety of their legendary chain tread sole. In November and December, I found the blog posts I was reading and the poetry that landed in my inbox, and even the Sunday morning worship readings often focused on the change of seasons, autumn to winter, harbinger of shorter days and chilly winds necessitating down-filled jackets. While not going so far as to advocate hibernation like a black bear, these readings encourage taking a cue from nature to rest, to slow down, and allow space for reflection and maybe creativity. On winter solstice, we lit candles and sang of that gentle darkness, soft and still. This year, more than any other, I felt the need to rest and recharge. As I left this sanctuary, my intention was to breathe deeply, appreciate the dark evening sky, and embrace the quiet. Yet just 10 days later, amidst bubbly toast and video images of firework displays from Sydney to London, I was ready to surrender to mass media's flurry of New Year's suggestions, all urging me to do more. It was if the small act of pinning a new calendar on the kitchen wall had infected my mind. Rather than mere seconds passing at midnight, one day to the next, 1 year to the next, I felt I was eons beyond that gentle darkness, soft and still. Musician Carrie Newcomer helped me step back from that frenzy and from creating a checklist of busy work, a worksheet of old actions. She proposed moving away from New Year's resolutions, the resolving of old problems, and shifting to New Year's revolutions. She wrote, "What might happen if instead of focusing on resolving an old problem, we decide to intentionally open our minds to a whole new way of thinking? What might change if we did as Rilke described and truly welcomed the new year full of things that have never been?" She went on, "What might happen if I decided to not just focus on how to keep working with the well-worn grooves of the path before me, but rather consider what has always held true at the very center of my journey? What true thing do I keep circling around as the earth orbits the sun? What if I listen to what sings at the center of my heart, what endures and against all odds, what helps me to see that there is still a path, but it may look different than anything I've ever imagined until now?" Today, as we focus on our stories, and with Reverend Luke, we begin to explore how to create more margins, that is, space in our lives for the unexpected, whether a walk in the woods, discovering a previously unknown poet, or answering a call to action in our community. I invite you to join Carrie Newcomer for a New Year's revolution, to revel in that which gives joy and stay open to the changing world around us, full of things that have never been. That we may continue our mission to be a welcoming, compassionate community that nurtures spiritual growth and practices justice, the ushers will graciously accept your gifts.
There's a song by the late, great John Prine reminding us about newness and awareness at the edge of our being. He's just a small fry, a bit too gun-shy to have his heart touched without a glove. He looks at strangers as potential dangers, trying to steal his aimless love. But love has no mind, it can't spell unkind. It's never seen a heart shaped like a valentine. For if love knew him, it would walk up to him and introduce him to an aimless love.
Well, I went out walking, kinda pillow talking with anyone who had the time for me. But there are some folks who think that love chokes and ties and keeps them from being free.
But love has no mind, it can't spell unkind. It's never seen a heart shaped like a valentine. For if love knew you, it would walk up to you and introduce you to an aimless love. look at strangers as potential danger, trying to steal your aimless love. But love has no mind, it can't spell unkind. It's never seen a heart shaped like a valentine. For if love knew you, it would walk up to you and introduce you to an aimless love. And introduce you to an aimless love.
Good morning. It is good to be with you. I invite you to settle in here as we create a place of communal caring and connection. It's our time to pause amidst the busyness of our lives, to slow down enough to consider the beauty that is here all around us, and to open a space for listening and love. Here, we honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Marge Dalen, serving as our caring coordinator, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And life can be challenging. We could all use some extra support with what life throws at us. And if you are experiencing those challenges, we encourage you to reach out for support and help. If you need additional care or personal pastoral care, please reach out to Reverend Luke or myself. In this community, we share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because all people here have value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those who are experiencing sadness, illness, or loneliness. May the strength and love in our congregation help guide you. And we revel in those who are experiencing joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all, and may their joy filter into all around them. Please hold this morning Julia and Elise Gallagher in your hearts. Julia shares the devastating news of the death of her late husband, Chris Sciamenta's daughter, Julia Sciamenta, age 35, living in Texas. After a period of no communication, a welfare check was done by local police, discovering the worst. Several of you may remember Julia as she attended church here with Chris and Julia. Please keep this family in your thoughts. May her spirit remain with them and all who knew her. Cards of support and well wishes are welcome for all. The Cards of Support list that is compiled weekly contains several members and friends of the church who are experiencing sadness or celebration and is posted in the entryway of the church as well as through a link in your e-news. We provide cards and postage and welcome you to leave those cards you write near the basket for mailing and encourage you to spread well wishes to all in that way. Here, our service to each other, to the world, and to our faith is our focus. Let us carry that out into the wider world. May the faith of the Spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning. Above you the sky, and beyond that the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. You yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named, you're known as beloved, as sacred. Invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. As the year opens before us, so do reminders each day of the beauty and brokenness of our world. We know, as we have known, the earth in peril and the need to live differently. And yet it takes our breath away, the intensity and the smoke of a planet hurting. We know, as we have known, communities in pain or in fear about their identities, their chance for liberation or fullness in life, across borders or across barriers and definition of what is held as sacred and celebrated and loved. We know, as we have known, that it takes large movements for change, and it takes seemingly tiny moments for change, like a change of heart, creating a bit more room for compassion and for kindness to help us stay in the practice of creating a more just and loving world. Hold in our own hearts this day all those who suffer in mind, body, or spirit. I invite you to bring the names that you're holding in your heart this day in joy or sorrow, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the names known and unknown, may we be held in love. These words of meditation come from the Reverend Nancy MacDonald Ladd about ways to care for each other while also noticing the brokenness of the world. She writes, "I'm over here making soup while the world is burning, and I can't find the can opener or the garlic mincer or the tools of the master or the two-state solution. I can't hardly even find life or liberty or the pursuit of happiness, which comes after the other two, and is so far removed from those fighting for life and liberty as to be a sort of dream of imagining. I also cannot stop the fires or clear the traffic, so I'm making soup and carrying on, though making no promises just yet about keeping calm. I'm over here making soup. And wait, there is the can opener. It's by the spoons to stir the pot. And I'm also writing words, and I'm beginning again, even as the earth is burning." May we find our simple tools that we need to keep nourishment alive and care for each other, even in the midst of harshness, that we still know love and beauty. May it be so. Amen. And will lead us in song.
So now I remember when we were here before, when Ruth McKenzie and I were here 6 months ago or something. What great singers you are here. So this is perfection-free singing now. So la 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 is okay, and also listening is half of singing. So you're welcome to do that. But we're gonna sing a song now that's about darkness, this dark time of year in Minnesota. It was created by a woman just up the St. Croix River named Barbara McAfee, a friend of mine, a Minnesotan. So it uses a Hafez poem as the lyric. And you'll find it's the third one there in lyrics for the songs in this service every time I go into the darkness. So we're going to split into 3 groups here now. This is going to be the first one. And then over here, we're going to do the second one. And over here will be the dreaming group over here, the third group. But let's all, again, sing all the parts, and we'll get them down, and then we'll split up. So, I think that's good. So, every time I go into the darkness, goodness, that's a juicy note right there. Let's try that much. Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. We got it now, one big one. Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. All right, that's this group right here eventually. And over here we say, midnight velvet, all one note at the beginning. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Try that much. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Let's try that whole thing. Follow the hand. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Couple more of those. Everyone can do it. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. All right, we'll come back to you. And over here we get to do this. This is a sweet one. Dreaming darkness. Let's do that much. Dreaming darkness. Second half. Dreaming light. Let's pour into that. Dreaming darkness. Dreaming light. Let's all stand up because this gets serious. We're at level 2 now. We're at level 2. And if we had the rest of the service time, we would be mingling and singing by each other and waving. But let's start here. We'll puzzle this together. At first, when we get it going, it's like a baby deer standing up. It's wobbly. So get comfortable with the awkwardness of that. But after a few rounds, we're going to be rocking. It's going to get good. Every time, right here. Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. Stick together now. Every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of jewels. Midnight, here we go. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Every midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Midnight velvet wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Every midnight velvet, go over there, wraps all around me. Stars glitter brilliant above. Dreaming darkness. Dreaming light. Beautiful. dreaming darkness, dreaming light every time. Listen to the other parts while you sing. And every time I go into the darkness, I return with fistfuls of joy. Everyone, dreaming darkness, let's go. Dreaming darkness, dreaming light.
Marginalia by Billy Collins. Sometimes the notes are ferocious, skirmishes against the author raging along the borders of every page in tiny black script. If I could just get my hands on you, Kierkegaard, or Connor Cruise O'Brien, they seem to say, I would bolt the door and beat some logic into your head. Other comments are more offhand, dismissive. Nonsense. Please. Ha! That kind of thing. I remember once looking up from my reading, my thumb as a bookmark trying to imagine what the person must look like who wrote, "Don't be a ninny," alongside a paragraph in The Life of Emily Dickinson. Students are more modest, needing only to leave their splayed footprints along the shore of the page. One scrawls metaphor next to a stanza of Eliot. Another notes the presence of irony 50 times outside the paragraphs of a modest proposal. Or they are fans who cheer from empty bleachers, hands cupped around their mouths. Absolutely, they shout to Duns Scotus and James Baldwin. Yes, bullseye, my man. Check marks, asterisks, and exclamation points rain down along the sidelines. If you have managed to graduate from college without ever having written man versus nature in the margin, perhaps now it is time to step forward. We have all seized the white perimeter as our own and reached for a pen, if only to show we did not laze in an afternoon in an armchair turning pages. We pressed a thought into the wayside, planted an impression on the verge. Even Irish monks, in their cold scriptoria, jotted along the borders of the Gospels brief asides about the pain of copying. A bird singing near the window, or sunlight that illuminated their page. Anonymous men catching a ride into the future on a vessel more lasting than themselves. And you have not read Joshua Reynolds, they say, until you read him enwreathed with Blake's furious scribbling. Yet the one I think of most often, the one that dangles from me like a locket, was written in a copy of Catcher in the Rye. I borrowed from the local library one slow, hot summer. I was just beginning high school then, reading books on a Davenport in my parents' living room, and I cannot tell you how vastly my loneliness was deepened, how poignant and amplified the world before me seemed when I found on one page a few greasy-looking smears, and next to them, written in soft pencil by a beautiful girl I could tell, whom I would never meet. Pardon the egg salad stains, but I'm in love.
Okay, we're going to level 3. Here we go. So level 3 involves this. Svea, if you'd be so kind as to maybe go back to that, back there. And Svea's going to lead a section of higher voiced harmony people. I want you to go and hang out with her if you're one of those people. And you can always migrate that way during the song. We are going to, their high voices are going to kind of arc over the room, all the rest of us, like a washing wave. It'll be wonderful. Yeah, if we could get about 10 people back there. So this is a song creator named Lindsay Scott. She comes through town from time to time. She says you don't have to know the way, and the words are there for you, although I'm not sure if you need to look at the words after all. They're pretty easy, and I can kind of direct you. But let's all, would you be willing to stand up? It goes, we'll go through this. You don't have to know the way knows the way. Let's try that much. You don't have to know the way knows the way. Let's keep going. You don't have to plan the way. Let's try that right there. You don't have to plan the way. Then we're going to trust. Trust the way. Listen to the next part. Feel your way. Let's do the whole thing up to that point. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way. Trust the way. Feel the way. Then this goes. The way knows. The way knows. The way knows the way. Let's try that. Where will we start? Let's just, I got lost there. Let's just, feel your way. Well, the way knows. The way knows. The way knows the way. Let's try the whole thing. You don't have to know the way. The way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way. Trust the way. Feel your way. The way knows. The way knows. The way knows the way. Now, if you have a volume knob, let's turn it from 10 down to 1, and the harmony is going to work on their part while we give them a clue as to where we're at in the song. Here we go. So let's deliver our quietness and we'll kind of enjoy the listening. Here we go. You don't have to know the way. The way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way. Trust the way. Feel I don't know, that was about as good as it gets like that. I didn't expect that. But let's do one more. Let's turn it up to maybe 4 and sing out over us, you back there. You sound like angels. Here we go. You don't have to know the way knows the way. You don't have to plan the way, trust the way, feel your way, the way he knows, the way he knows, the way knows the way.
Thank you, Tim, Svea. Angels in the back. Thank you. It was a midweek afternoon. Piles of books and papers now strewn around the room, the type of sunshine coming in that only crisp, cold air can bring, was pouring through the thin windows. This strange illusion in that moment, as if heat and cold were battling for control of this small room, but both were losing because the space was only filled with the dust coming off the shelves and the pages breathing just enough to let the particles of years being closed up out into the air. This didn't help my pre-holiday annual congestion, but there I was, processing all of this dust in the air, as long as also with some inner wrestling that I always have about clutter and holiday excess and all of that in the days leading up to the simplicity of solstice and the fullness of Christmas and the incoming clean sweep of New Year's. It didn't take long for a congregant who was coming in to offer gifts for the giving tree stopped by my office that day saying, "Whoa, what's going on in here?" and gave me good advice of how to let some of these good books find a good new home. I do this every so often, filter through the 2 packed shelves that hold so many moments, so many pieces of learning or family history and important markers of change and transformation. I go through the books and I think, I can't get rid of that one. It holds this moment for me. In my beliefs or my thoughts or my change in denominations. It's like a row of reminders of change, of possibility, of ancestors, of new beginnings, but it had been a while, and so much through young children and pandemic work from home, it was time for a deeper dive to open the shelves a bit. In recent years, I've been holding a value which challenges me to only have around me items that are used intentionally and well. That might mean that they have a beloved spot in my home because they bring about artistry or beauty. They spark some memory or story. Something hanging on a wall or set on a shelf in love and noticing can be a useful, soulful thing. But it also sometimes means that not everything around me needs to be kept there. It can move on into the world in other ways rather than quietly collecting dust or brought to life in some new way. And so I came across this book given to the Reverend Paul Gardner in 1938 for his 69th birthday, which I only found because I opened it up and I found an inscription inside and I found a photo and a newspaper clipping. And I had no idea who this was, and I didn't know how I got this book in my office. So I do what sometimes we do. I texted my parents and said, "Who is this, and why do I have this?" And so this person is a bit of confusing lineage, Grandpa Gardner, as my father often referred to him. When I came across, I said, "Who's this again?" And the thread of text began. My mom said, "Well, he was married to great-grandpa Royer's sister. He was a Methodist minister, so your dad's great-aunt's husband." But then a correction a few minutes later. Well, now we think he might have been on the Toft side because they raised Grandma Toft's daughter because her mother died. And then she said, well, wait now, I'm confused. And that's not something my mom normally says in family trees. So I thought this was very concerning. And then she continued again, well, Grandpa Toft's daughter must have been raised by some other minister. So this minister was married to your great-grandpa Royer's sister. All right, you got all that, the tree? I have no idea what's happening or who this is. But eventually I figured this is one of my ancestors, somewhere down the line. And so I opened the book and found that picture and this whole article about his retirement. And what it spoke to me in that moment was just opening a new part of my story. I've always been rooted in that I come from a Lutheran pastor grandpa, and I was raised Lutheran. And here, another Methodist from the Methodist side of my family, and a Methodist pastor in this family history, maybe why I married a Methodist. But there's a bit more to the story now, not just one line, but many, and complex and confusing like most stories are, covered in dust, packed away on the shelf. What I love about these old books is, and often family Bibles, is they come with some inscription, or sometimes filled with treasures like pictures or articles that tell something of a story, sitting on the shelf filled with more stories than we know. It's in the margins or it's in the inside cover. Around these stories, something new or different comes to life again that was lost, at least for a while. Christmas Eve, I shared this idea, the Jewish practice of Midrash and Talmud, where in the margins around the ancient text and scripture are interpretations or context about the story. And beyond that, I think in modern scriptures, poetry, there's the power and practice of white or blank space filling so much of the page. Space around the words and the text left open to give a visual, artistic dimension to the text. It's in the margins where we often find most of the meaning, the blank space. Sometimes the notes are ferocious, writes Billy Collins, skirmishes against the author, raging along the borders of the page in tiny black script. He writes, we have all seized the white perimeter as our own and reached for a pen if only to show we did not just laze in an armchair, we pressed a thought into the wayside. There is something about this annual practice for me of filtering through these shelves, or as the Larson Kellers did with their newspaper here, opening up a wall to the literal stories hiding in the perimeters of our lives. There I was striving for less, trying to filter and pass along, only to find more in every way that matters. Nearly every year at this time, folks are reflective about resolutions or revolutions, beginning new, creating more space, trying to journey in new directions perhaps, or restart some hoped-for practice from last year or 10 years ago or further back, something to help us open in new ways to a new year to see what's around the edges of our lives. And often it gets quickly and easily corrupted and filled in by a culture demanding that we produce more or we look different. The amount of ads on our feed or that just come in flying from wherever with body shaming to eat and exercise differently is a certain kind of hell. And to be clear, it's built from cultural norms that are oppressive. Whitewashed survival of the fittest, productivity-minded perspectives, demanding us to be strong or skinny or productive in a particular way. Those things are wrong. Not necessarily being those things, but those pressures, the pressures of an oppressive body-shaming diet culture that are so often dehumanizing to joy, against what ancient scripture called that you may have life and have it abundantly. A phrase that, before the context of capitalism and consumerism, meant having a deeper love for this world and this life, by appreciating the bounty of earth, expressing creativity through art and love, always held in reciprocity and the common good. And so the margins in the culture get filled up of the stories and narratives of who we're supposed to be, that we're failing to be. And so our margins get filled up over and over, out to the edges of our to-dos and our ought tos. I believe, though, we must be so carefully discerning and have encouragement from others to work against it, about what is good change. There can be good change too, liberatory, joyful, sometimes hard, but not diminishing our humanity or our identity or our love. Just before the holidays, in so many ways inspiring my Christmas Eve reflections and still today's sermon, an inspiration 2-for-1, I guess, was a reflection by a member here that was sharing about a friend who always said something like, leave room in the margins, leave room for the unexpected, leave room for beauty. I think this is why I've been so drawn to poetry more and more over the years. I'm drawn to the blank space to let the words breathe a little bit. Those words in the center, just a small space packed full with meaning. It's why I write my sermons that way too, more in lyrical verse than in paragraph prose, which sometimes annoys the newsletter reviewers that I write an article for, and they're like, good Lord, who put this together? Rightfully so. But I don't always have that practice in my life, leaving wide margins, open spaces around my soul or around my calendar days or schedules. I regularly have a to-do list in my mind or heart, almost on cue, every day in or out of the office, of all the things I'm going to accomplish and do. And so often, like the world teaching me humility over and over again, my didn't do list is normally much longer than my did list. And somehow I just thought the day would keep expanding, unfolding, and I could do more and more. And so what if, like poet Carrie Newcomer said, we go not wider and wider, but deeper. Leave room around the edges. Leave our to-do lists or our resolutions more focused or at least super vague. Like, today, here's my list. Breathe. Try. Love. That's it. Breathe and try and love. That's all you have to do. Or as one colleague wrote for her resolution, she said, for this year, this is what I'm trying to do. Play a lot. I'm going to try to befriend a cow. I'm going to be increasingly weirder and wilder. That's my whole list, she said. So what's on your list? Or what are you scratching off or getting rid of the list entirely? What catches your heart about what really matters to make room for around the edges? And how much room are you leaving for what you don't know might come? Maybe it's inviting you to slow down and take more time with the people and places you love. Maybe it's inviting you to make room for speaking up or showing up for causes and issues that matter, values that are under attack. We know we need disruption and we need care in these coming years. Because creating margins in our own lives means not just making room for our own souls, but for the reminder that our own care is collective care, that our own liberation is collective liberation, for the reminder that on the margins of our community, the margins of society, there is a calling for life, and for life abundant, so that we find room to breathe, to sing, to be, for the unexpected beauty that is yet to be. So I invite you to just take a breath, a little room around the liturgy here too. And as you're comfortable, place a hand on your heart or place it on something touching the earth or up into the air towards the sky in gratitude. Take a deep breath. Mary Oliver writes, I rented a storage space and filled it. And years passed. Occasionally I went in there and looked in, but nothing happened, not a twinge of the heart. And as I grew older, the things I cared about grew fewer, but more important. Fewer and more important. May the margins ever widen. Amen. Tim and Svea will lead us in one more song.
Join us in this. It's easy. We're going to be brief here, and we're going to lean on you and do something surprising in the margins of the community here. It's something you might not have known, and I certainly don't know where this is going to go. But this is just the most simple. The old Sufis would say that their desire was to open their heart. Not in some sort of woo-woo, new agey way, but this goes back 1,000 years. They danced and they sang and they did poetry till their hearts were open. So we'll sing that, and we'll do it over the pachelbel. And then if you find a harmony, please lay into it, something that might surprise us all, or maybe a group. And we'll just do this a couple times through and we'll be done. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Jonah, join us. Open my heart. Open my heart. Stand up, would you? Let's do this. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Open my heart. Just oh. You're beautiful singers. Thank you so much.